So the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the idea of going all in, of risking everything in hopes that there'll be a reward. Specifically, we've been talking about taking the risk to serve other people. Serving others is risky because you have to give something up in order to do it. And you just don't know if it's worth it or not. Today I want to talk to you about what may be the biggest risk of all. It's the thing that most of us cling tightest to, and the thing that most of us consider top priority. What do you think I'm talking about? What are we going to talk about going all in with today? Well, before I tell you, let me ask you a question. Have you noticed that there are a million shows on right now that have a group of people called judges? It all started with American Idol, but now there's judges for everything. So you think you can dance, sing off, America's Got Talent, Project Runway, not to mention all the cooking shows. And the whole premise of these shows is that these so-called experts watch and evaluate every little thing that the contestants say and do. And based on how they perform, they evaluate them and give them feedback. The judges then form an opinion about the contestant, and what they think influences America's opinion of them too. And you already know this, but in a strange way, doesn't your school work a lot like that? Everything you do, and everyone else does, is judged. Everything you wear is evaluated. Every word you say is criticized. Everyone you hang out with is sized up on some kind of social scoring system. High school can be brutal that way. You're surrounded by judges who constantly decide where you fit in and rank in the social system. It feels like everything you do can either make you or break you. If you make the right team or squad, you skyrocket up the charts. If you wear the wrong brand, sit at the wrong table, you end up doing damage to your social standing. There's no safe zone. The problem is that the unofficial ranking system has the potential to influence every decision we make. Everything we do is based on what it means for our ranking. It even influences how we treat people and who we choose to be nice to. Because we know that if we're seen associating with the wrong person in the wrong crowd, people will make assumptions about us. Our unofficial ranking will drop. So we usually choose to be nice to people we know will improve our ranking. We're calculated about who we talk to and who we're seen with in order to protect or improve our social standing. Others of us take the opposite approach. We've given up on the whole idea of climbing the ladder of popularity. In fact, we've been bullied and harassed to the point that our only goal is to now duck and dodge and fly under the radar. Instead of actively trying to be seen in the right places with the right people, we're just actively trying to disappear. Our best hope is to go unnoticed, so we'll be left alone. So, what do serving and social status have to do with one another? More than you might think. For those of you who find yourselves near the top of the social food chain, you know it's hard to even get there. And even though you know there are people in your school who need a friend, you just can't be the one to do it. It's too big a risk. To sit by that person at the lunch table or be seen talking to them in the hallway would be socially detrimental. And so for you, serving someone with a different status, it's just out of the question. And for those of you who've been the ones talked about, made fun of, and bullied, you can't take the risk of creating a permanent spot at the bottom of the rankings for yourself. So to help others further below you, it's not an option. And if someone higher up who's made your life miserable ends up in a position where they need help, there's no way you would ever consider it. And why should you? It seems in these situations, the risk is just too great. There's no way to go all in. But what if I told you this wasn't just a high school problem, but something the Bible talks about? That this idea of status or rank has been around forever. What if I told you that even Jesus talked about it? One time, an expert in the Old Testament law, in other words, a super religious guy, came up to Jesus and tried to trap him with a question. He tried to trick Jesus by asking him which of the commandments in the law was most important. The man thought that if he could get Jesus to single out one commandment as being the most important, then he could say, this Jesus guy doesn't think the other laws matter. And that would make everyone else really mad at Jesus, which is exactly what the guy was aiming for. But Jesus wasn't stupid. He knew exactly what he was trying to do and answered him in a way that no one could disagree with. Jesus said the most important commandment is to love God with all your heart, all of our mind, all of our strength, and all of our soul. And then he said something amazing. He said that another commandment is equal to it. And that commandment is to love your neighbor just as you love yourself. He continues saying that by obeying these two commands, you'll be obeying all of the other commands at the same time. How can you argue with that? But the man wasn't finished. He took one more shot at Jesus by asking, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus responded with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him laying there, but also passed by on the other side of the road. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn, where he took care of him. The next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, "Take care of this man. If the bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you next time I'm here." Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." I love this. The man asking the question was looking for a straightforward answer. But instead of simply listing all the people we should consider our neighbor, Jesus told a story. Because Jesus knew that answering the way the man wanted him to would create rankings, a food chain, and categories determining who was in and who was out. Jesus was teaching us that instead of wondering who our neighbor is, we should focus on being a neighbor to all people around us. Being kind is a state of mind. The story also does something else that's easy to miss. Jesus was clear in his story that it was a Jewish man who had been attacked, and he was just as clear that it was a Samaritan man who had helped him. At the time Jesus told the story, Samaritans were some of the most hated people to the Jewish community. They were considered half-breeds, not fully Jewish, corrupted by neighboring people and religion. Associating with them would cause your social standing to take a hit. Samaritans were not in the right crowd. And to further illustrate his point, Jesus made sure to add that the priest and the Levite saw the Jewish man, but didn't stop to help. They're the ones that you would expect to help, but they chose to go on about their business when he needed them the most. But not the Samaritan. The Samaritan man went all in, put his pride, reputation, and social standing on the line, and went for it anyway. And that's what we're asking you to do this week. We're asking you to go all in, to lay it all on the line, to risk everything. We're asking you to go beyond just giving something or doing something. We're asking you to be something. We're asking you to see the people you're around through a different lens, to be a neighbor to anyone and everyone. We're asking you to think about them differently. Because being kind is a state of mind. It's not a one-time act, it's an awareness. We're asking you to lose the ranking system. Forget about social status. Get over your reputation and live a lifestyle of love. Maybe that means treating a nobody like they matter, or talking to the quiet classmate who no one notices. Being nice to the popular girl who isn't that nice to you. Maybe it's about ending a conversation that's turning into gossip, or helping the person who tripped instead of laughing at them. Ever tried eating lunch with someone who can't help your social status at all? Try chatting with someone you think wouldn't even like you. Looking at those around you and asking yourself, what do they need most today? Sure, it may hurt your social standing, but you're doing the thing that Jesus says is the most important thing to him. You're loving people. And there's something to be said by doing hard things that might cost you more than you're comfortable with, especially for a cause bigger than you. You're becoming more like Jesus. And the best thing is, your standing with him never is in danger. Your reputation with him is never threatened. Going after what Jesus says matters so much more than what your high school says matters. So this week, be a neighbor. I know this stuff isn't easy, but as you head out today, I want to challenge you. If you're in the in crowd, forget about the rankings and be a friend to those people in your school that everyone else just seems to ignore. And if you're on the outside looking in and you see someone from the in crowd in need, forgive what they've done to you in the past and be a friend to them. This is what it means to risk our social status to serve others. This is what represents Christ as we interact with people day in and day out. This is what it means to treat other people the way that we would want to be treated. Being kind is a state of mind. There'll be risk involved. It may take some courage, but this is what it means to go all in.